بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين.
A way to prepare for the Akhirah is by having secret deeds with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secret deeds with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate one's status in the Akhirah. They wipe away the sins. They help one overcome hardships in this dunya. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Inna Allah yuhibbul abda taqiyya al-ghaniyya al-khafi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who are al-khafi. Al-khafi, among those that He loves, is al-khafi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who don't seek attention for their ibadat. He loves people who prefer their good deeds to go unnoticed in this dunya. Having some ibadat that you do in secrecy is a sign of sincerity, and it's a reflection of deep iman. The hypocrites and liars and pretenders can't have secret ibadat because it's something they can't do, because their ibadat are an act for show off. A true believer cherishes his private moments with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by engaging in secret acts of ibadah that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like wrongdoers enjoy their time alone to indulge in sinful behavior, wal-iyadhu billah. Secret acts of ibadah could be charities, it could be salah during the day in your house, or qiyam at night while everyone's sleeping. Some of the salaf didn't even let their spouses know about their portion of qiyam al-layl. It could be a haram glance that you turned away from. No one knows about you lowering your gaze but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're walking with a group, they may not even notice if you lower your gaze or if you look at haram. The only one who will know if you looked at the haram or looked away from it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's a hidden secret deed. You have a phone and you have social media. No one knows if you turned away from a haram glance while you're browsing social media in the darkness of your room except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one knows if you made an effort to steer clear of haram content on social media except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secret ibadat could be fasting, could be dhikr, could be dua, could be helping brothers and sisters or defending them. It could be helping orphans and prisoners or paying off debts. One of the most honorable acts of ibadah that can be kept discreet, especially in today's world, is virtual da'wah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sharing pure Tawheed, standing up for the righteous who passed away or those who are in prisons. No one but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows if you used your username or your screen name, that screen name and username that no one knows about but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one knows if you used it to spread Tawheed and defend the muwahhideen except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Giving da'wah quietly and unknown, away from the distractions of fame and attention, is among the best forms of secret ibadah. We encountered numerous brothers who dedicated significant efforts to da'wah, spreading knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sisters often surpass the brothers in this regard. Rarely anyone knows who they are, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala definitely knows them. Be one of the unsung heroes who are recognized in the heavens with their deeds, but their deeds remain unknown to people on this vanishing earth. In Tafsīr Ibn Kathir, under the verse, "Ud'u rabbakum tadarru'an wa khufya, innahu la yuhibbul mu'tadin," Ibn Kathir mentioned a quote by Al-Hasan al-Basri. Al-Hasan al-Basri was, of course, from the Tabi'een. He's talking about the Sahaba. He mentioned that he met people, meaning the Sahaba, who never performed any act of ibadah in public that they were able to do in private. Now, people blast their ibadat on social media and brag and bolster about them in gatherings. hidden ibadat are a sign of true iman. Not only is it a sign of iman, not only does it increase iman, but from the greatest secrets of hidden acts of ibadah is that you will experience a profound sweetness in your iman and in your ibadah. If your ibadah and iman lack sweetness, flavor it by performing concealed ibadat between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secret ibadat kill riya and show off. Those who struggle with riya and show off, or the doubts of that, those who doubt any of that, they'll find their cure in performing secret ibadat. The more concealed ibadat are, the more truthful they are. Hypocrites and people of riya, people who like to show off, they do ibadat to be seen by others. They seek praise and admiration, while the faithful, sincere individuals perform their ibadat for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, concealing their ibadat and their deeds from the eyes of creation as much as they can, because they want their reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Those who struggle with the thought of riya, they often struggle with the thought of riya because their private acts of ibadah are minimal or non-existent. If someone is spotted praying 2 rak'at in public, and he starts to feel unsure about his intention as it pertains to riya, but then they go in their homes and pray many more nawafil that no one knows about, or they spend hours in qiyam at night without anyone noticing. Those 2 rak'at that he did in public wouldn't make them doubt their sincerity, since what they've done in private is far greater. If someone is seen giving $2 in public in charity, but in secrecy he's given thousands more that no one knows about, he will not have riya or thoughts or whispers about it, because in secrecy he's given much more than what he's given in public. Whatever ibadah you're seen doing in public, purify that ibadah by doing that ibadah or other ibadat in private many more times than you do openly in public. Remember that just like there can be show off, which is riya, in public ibadat, you can have show off in public ibadat, one must be careful not to fall into ujub in private ibadat, which is vanity or self-conceit or self-admiration, and that's a long topic. It's not our topic today, it's another topic. Another reason for secret ibadat is that secret ibadat are a foundation of steadfastness on the truth. Secret ibadat act like a strong shield for the heart against the potential for a relapse in one's faith. The more deeds that you have that are hidden, the stronger your iman becomes. The more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places light in your heart to see through the dark fitan when they occur. Secret ibadat will, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, protect you from inconsistencies and dalal that others experience during times of fitan. Don't expect for thabat during times of fitan without dedicating some private ibadah between yourself and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You'll also see the effect of such private ibadat during your personal trials as well. One will not have sabr during periods of personal ibtila'at, like losses of loved ones, or losses of wealth, or loss of freedom. You won't have sabr without a substantial record of private acts of ibadah between yourself and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Build the largest collection of secret ibadat that you can, that only you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala know about. You will be firm in times of ibtila'at, whether it's personal matters or matters pertaining to the deen. With secret ibadat and dua for guidance, you will perceive the virtuous muwahhideen, mujahideen as just. And you'll recognize the truth during fitan with the utmost clarity, while others with no private bond with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be struggling with confusion, and they may oppose the most righteous people of their time. Take this as a rule. The more hidden your ibadat are, the stronger your iman becomes, the more steadfastness and insight you will have during personal or deen-related trials and fitan. Concealed ibadat resemble a stake that you hit into the ground. It's like a stake that's embedded in the ground. The further you drive the stake down, the more secure it remains above the surface. And likewise, the deeper your deeds are buried, the stronger your iman stands during trials. The strength of that stake comes in how much you conceal of it underground. The strength of your iman in thabat comes in how much you conceal of your sincere ibadat. Many of those who strayed away from the right path, they didn't actually change. They were always lost and misguided. It's just that their true hidden nature came to light. You think they changed, but all that happened was that the hidden side of them that lacked true ibadah, that became visible. It overshadowed their fake, seemingly righteous front. That's like one of these beautiful trees that you see. Any one of these. It may appear lovely on the outside, but if you inspect it closely, you might find that it's decayed within. A breeze could cause it to topple. An individual may seem outwardly virtuous. However, without sincere private ibadat, they're likely to collapse like the decayed tree at their first trial or first difficulty or their first challenge in life. And there's also a significant amount of special ajr for concealed ibadat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the concealed ibadat. إن تبدوا الصدقات فنعمه وإن تخفوها وتؤتوها الفقراء فهو خير لكم. If you conceal your sadaqah, it's better for you. If you conceal your sadaqah, it's better for you. That's similar to the meaning in the hadith about the 7 that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shade them يوم القيامة. ورجل تصدق بصدقة فأخفاها حتى لا تعلم شماله ما تنفق يمينه. A man who gives in charity in secrecy, in so much secrecy that his left hand doesn't know what his right hand has given. In the same hadith, وَرَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَاهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded a person who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in solitude and then his eyes tear up. How does he remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا, alone. Our topic today, shedding a simple tear or having a watery eye when remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone is better than weeping profusely in public. Qiyam al-Layl was praised for being late at night when no one knows about it. إِنَّ نَاشِئَةَ اللَّيْلِ هِيَ أَشَدُّ وَطْئًا وَأَقْوَمُ قِيلًا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ. Fasting is among the best deeds because it's a deed only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about. Hidden deeds also refine and purify the heart from impurities and darkness. When matters get tough, you use those deeds in wasila, like the story of the 3 men in the famous hadith who were blocked by a rock, and they saw a pure deed that will help them escape from the cave. And I mentioned it and talked about it in detail last Ramadan. Ibn al-Qayyim also mentioned that concealed deeds, the hidden deeds, grant one acceptance and a positive praise in this dunya, even though that should not be intended. One of the effects of hidden deeds is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses that person with acceptance and positive praise in this dunya. Muhammad ibn Wasi' said, whoever rectifies his inner self, like with private ibadat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will rectify his outward appearance. Ibn al-Qayyim said in meaning and in summary that a person who hides a deed between himself and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make that deed appear on him to others. He said those with a strong bond with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who conceal their ibadat are people who are spoken about positively to the point that their sins and faults are forgotten and people will only mention good things about them. Why? Because he said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not overlook the efforts of his servants. The hearts of the pure righteous people, the hearts of the pure righteous, not everyone, the pure righteous people can sense the true state of an individual based on the person's secret relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will put it in their heart that this is a righteous person. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala used to go to abandoned masajid and bury his face in the dirt and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Muallima Ibrahim, fahimni. He made dua to gain knowledge, and he would make dua to understand a single verse of the Quran after reading over 100 tafsir on that verse. Would make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide him to the understanding of that verse. Where would he do that? In an abandoned masjid. Why? Because they're honorable houses of Allah and no one is there, they're abandoned. That's how you attain sweetness in ibadah. It could have been one of those times that he spent in solitude making dua in a deserted masjid. It could have been one of those times that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him the incredible knowledge and high status that he's been recognized for over the centuries. If you don't have a record of hidden good deeds, you're missing out on sweetness in ibadah, and you're far away from the most important matters that help you stay strong for your dunya and akhirah. If you need help performing secret ibadat, seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's aid for it. Because he said, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. You alone we worship and you alone we seek your aid. Seek his aid to worship him.